If I told you that you had a chance at winning $1 million, but to do so, you would have to compete against some of the best footballers, futsalers, indoor and beach soccer players in heat, humidity, torrential downpour, with the threat of lightning over the course of 6 days, what would you say? I would say sign me up. Why do I ask this question? Because that's exactly what we have here at the 3rd annual TST tournament in Cary, North Carolina. Hello again, everybody. My name's Christian Phileman, and I will be with you on this broadcast. It is game number 69. We are over the halfway point in terms of games to be had here at TST, and this should be a fun one between two teams that are looking to end their group stage rounds with a win. And who I'm talking about, of course, is Real Athletico and the Cherries, AFC Bournemouth, with some legendary players that they have brought to the United States. So we're going to talk more about these teams in just a second, but we wanted to quickly go over the rules with you. Now, folks, it's two 20-minute halves of a running clock. The only stoppages will be if there are injuries or if the official calls a time-out. No offside, no slide tackling, no throw-ins, more importantly, no ties. Every single game at TST ends with a game winner, where the individual who scores the game winner in target score time will be awarded a golden fleece, technically a scarf, but we call it a golden fleece for lifetime participation and entry to the TST tournament. And we are underway live from Field 4 here at the WakeMed Soccer Park, the home of the NWSL's NC Courage. It's AFC Bournemouth and Real Athletico. The header, and that was a close call, saved by the keeper, Rafa Martins. And folks, there's something I just want to make sure that I let you all know of. Very important. The other day we were given a roster from Real Athletico with numbers on them. The numbers were unfortunately incorrect, and the case is still that way, that we do not have the correct roster numbers. Now, mistakes will happen when you have 48 teams with potentially 15 or so players. A screamer! What a goal from basically England. The Cherries score through bottom left corner. No dust mites dwelling there. Que golazo, what a tremendous goal. AFC Bournemouth registers one with barely 60 seconds into the match. And I had to take a moment just to stop myself. That was one heck of a screamer. Scored, of course, by number 16, Junior Rosero. Wow, what a goal, folks. AFC Bournemouth starting out the gates red hot. But anyway, going back to my thought, in a tournament where there are 48 teams and several players, almost over 800, mistakes will happen. So my apologies in advance to those tuning into Real Athletico. I called them yesterday in the game against Wrexham. I found out, but shout out to Rafa Martinez, the starting keeper for Real Atletico, for letting me know. And as far as that I'm concerned, that would be my player to watch for AFC Bournemouth. Not only did you just get a goal from Junior Rosero, who went over to Siena College and played out in eastern Long Island, Suffolk County at Stony Brook University, Oyster Bay United, and also competed in the U.S. Open Cup. You've got some legendary players. Tommy Elphick, for example, Louis Graben, and, of course, a player that I very excited to see, number 19, Junior Stanislas. 336 games played over his career, 158 of them at AFC Bournemouth. Spent a couple of years playing for the Hammers on the east side of London, West Ham, Burnley, and spent some time with England's U20 and U21 side. Simon Francis wearing number 2, the captain of this AFC Bournemouth side. A lot of legendary players here on the pitch for the Cherries. A lot of them going into the coaching ranks as well. So a treat here to see the team representing the Premier League and England. They finished 9th in the Premier League just this past season. Shot almost another screamer. And Rosero, with authority, making his name known relatively quickly here. The officials for today, Brian Miller and Austin Saney. So hopefully they don't get the dramatics that we had in that matchup between Trident FC and Atletico Madrid. Temper certainly flared in that one. First time I've seen police have to come onto the pitch to separate the two sides. Now, this is a Group F matchup. AFC Bournemouth currently 0-2, as is Real Athletico. Bournemouth has 3 goals for, 9 goals allowed. Real Athletico, 1 goal for, and 8 goals allowed. AFC Bournemouth dropped one to Conquefa in their first round, 3-1. Then they lost to the Wrexham Red Dragons 6-2, and I know you folks in England are thinking, in what parallel universe? Opportunity gets scooted in. More on that one later as Dan Gosling punches the second goal of the game in for the Cherries. We are now standing at a score of 2-0. Gosling 171 appearances with AFC Bournemouth between 2014 and 2021. But none more memorable than this goal here at TST, right, folks? I say that tongue-in-cheek and kidding, of course. But a strong start for AFC Bournemouth, and we're barely a quarter of the way through the first half.
Remaining in the first half, your score, Bournemouth 2, Real Athletico 0.
Now, for those folks at home that have never heard of the city of Bournemouth, well, that's a town in England, a city, I should say, 111 miles southwest from London. And now it elevates into the air. Grab and boots it out of play. But Bournemouth, known for its beautiful sandy beaches, Victorian architecture, and lively entertainment scene. From what I've been told, a 7-mile coastline, and if you can attract or find any kind of sun in England, and if you have a penchant for water sports, Bournemouth is the place to go. But the main attraction in the city, of course, is AFC, the Cherries, as they're lovingly known as. Now, a couple of rule changes that have occurred from last year that I want to make note of. No more than 3 players are allowed in the substitution area at any time. Of course, teams are free to rotate their rosters as much as they want. In the event of controversy, only the captain can address the official. And in the case of AFC Bournemouth, it would be Simon Francis. And no freezing of the ball. The ball must be advanced every 8 seconds. Real Atletico looking to make their mark in this game. Now, the top 2 teams in each group will advance to the round of 32. Additionally, the top 8 teams not finishing in the top 2 in their groups will also advance. Now, third-place finishers will advance on the basis of, first, record in group play, goal differential, total goals, and fourth, a penalty shootout. And they will be ranked based on very similar metrics. So now that we've gotten some of the housekeeping out of the way, let's learn a little bit about Real Atletico. This is a team that has players that have competed collegiately and at some very high levels in American mainstream sports such as baseball, football, and basketball. In fact, not very many players with soccer experience, at least not at a high level. There's a shot, and that nearly goes through. As Charlie Philpott has to extend himself. But this is a team of athletes. Real athletes is how they reference themselves as. And no question about it, there are some very athletic players that Real Atletico features. Jorge Solano, for example, nicknamed Bam, played college football at Fordham. He's also pro baseball with a team in Seattle called the Mariners. He was within that organization. So there are a bunch of athletes here that can compete. And look, there's players like Carlos Palacios that have competed in the USL. Kevin Naranjo played in the Major Arena Soccer League. But for the most part, football players, basketball players, and baseball players competing in their first ever TST. And just mentioning that, they have put on some performances, very respectable ones. There's a shot made but saved by Rafa Martinez. Attacking, Cherries recover. Gosling over to his left side. An attempt shot saved by Rafa Martins. He's going to be tested time and time again. He was tested time and time again in that battle that Real Atletico had against the Wrexham Red Dragons. That was a close one. That certainly set the tone, and Real Atletico competed very candidly against Wrexham. and they would end up getting skunked, meaning they would lose by a score of 5-0 to Concaifa. Concaifa have been the darlings of this tournament in the past couple of seasons. Pat McAfee's team that features some talented legends of the United States men's national team that go along with the Arena Boys, players from the major Arena Soccer League. Now, Bournemouth is completely blacked out, wearing those very stylish kits with a Las Vegas sponsor in the chest. Real Athletico wearing the grays with the orange sleeves. Two very quick goals for Bournemouth to begin this game. Taking a look at Lewis Graben here, is very close to me. 87 appearances between 2012 and 2014 with AFC Bournemouth. 56 games played in London with Millwall. Played with Brentford, Norwich, Reading, Sunderland. A lot of run, though, at Nottingham Forest. 144 appearances there. Go along with, I believe, 54 goals. Found the information on the internet, and of course, if it's on the internet, it's got to be right, right? Sean Cooper goes into the left as that gets poked out of play. The cross comes in. Bournemouth moving the ball around very easily as Sean Cooper collects it. And that one goes right in the hands of Rafa Martins. Sean Cooper, 211 games played with AFC Bournemouth. And now an assistant manager. Played at Crawley, Portsmouth, just a couple of teams to mention. So we've approached the halfway mark here within the first half. AFC Bournemouth up by a score of 2-0. Achieving that mark. Just a couple of minutes to start today's game. See a couple of fans here with their Cherries jerseys on. Give a shout out to U.S. men's national Tyler Adams, who's a member of AFC Bournemouth. He's a big fan of the TST tournament. He's caught a lot of the games going back to last season. Another shot fired. That one sails well above the crossbar, practically back to the country of England anyway, with ferocity, with tenacity. You could see some conversing going on between the Real Atletico players. Just trying to get things figured out, as they've been having a very tough time with this AFC Bournemouth attack. Cherries have looked very comfortable here in these opening moments. Ball gets recovered by Charlie Daniels. Daniels, talk about a number of appearances, 244 with the Cherries. That one shit. Martins gets his hand on it. And number 16, at least on my roster. And I know that's not Stamatopoulos. And since we're talking about Theodoros Stamatopoulos, Kolithia FC, Northwood University. So just wanted to give Stamatopoulos a shout as I see his number. So, as I mentioned, apologies in advance for any of the discrepancies on Real Atletico. What I do know is Rafa Martins is your starting keeper. Coaching staff, Chris Billum-Smith. We were wondering if we were going to have a Josie Altidore appearance, as he was listed as an assistant coach. I know Josie was here the other day, and I think he gave a clinic just the day prior. And we see a yellow card issued to Real, I believe Real Atletico's coach. So I'm just waiting for that confirmation. That's why I'm stalling. We don't have the luxury of video review here. It was raining quite candidly here for a while. And thus far, the rain has let up. There was a chance of lightning, but thus far that's been thwarted. So it's nice to finally be a little dry here, although the elements aren't going to prevent any of these games from going on, as we are on the final day of the group stages. Foul on the pitch. Credited to potentially Kevin Naranjo. Naranjo, who played with the Orlando Seawolves, the Tacoma Stars, and the Milwaukee Wave. Orlando Seawolves, a team no longer in existence, but the Tacoma Stars and the Milwaukee Wave are. In fact, two teams with a lot of history. The Milwaukee Wave is, believe it or not, the longest running professional soccer team in the United States. Members of the Major Arena Soccer League. 120 players in this tournament, if not more, including one broadcast commentator. Me. Who am I? Christian Filliman, known as Philly. Why does that matter? It doesn't. I'm just telling you. Free kick opportunity for the Cherries here. The shot gets fired, deflecting off the Real Atletico blockade. And that attempt gets sails once again above the crossbar, but the Cherries have really been teeing off at Real Atletico. Not sure if they're selling those jerseys that AFC Bournemouth have, but if you find them, they potentially could be at soccer.com. They sell a lot of merchandise from the TST. So you can grab your favorite your T-shirt from your favorite teams, whether it be AFC Bournemouth, whether it be Real Atletico, Concafa, Newtown Pride. Head on over to soccer.com for all your TST merchandise. Charlie Philpott being pressured as he goes to his right. Philpott very comfortable. Passes to Graben. He scored some golazos in his time, some bangers, some screamers. A lot of experience on this Bournemouth team. Easy save for Philpott, as that one goes over to Rafa Martins. So 4 minutes and 35 seconds remaining here within this first half. AFC Bournemouth up on Real Atletico by a score of 2-0. Pass into the box. And that's going to be a foul against Real Atletico. Real Atletico pleading to the official that they saw a dive, but we're going to see a free kick and potentially, a penalty kick, and potentially the third goal of the game. Standing up gingerly is number 6, Andrew Sermon, who drew the foul in the box. Sermon, between 2014 and 2020, played 149 games with Bournemouth, scoring 5 goals. Also appeared with Southampton, Wolverhampton, Norwich City, MK Dons, Milton Key Dons. Over his lifetime, 445 career games, 37 goals. Part of that AFC Bournemouth team that won the championship and was promoted back in 2015. In fact, going through it, a lot of these players have that distinction. The penalty kick, the shot, and the goal! Brett Pittman fires it into the back of the net, and the hits and the goals keep on coming. Cherries once again thread it through. So Brett Pittman, 173 games during his time on the beautiful sandy beaches. Bristol City, Ipswich Town, Portsmouth, Swindon Town, Bristol Rovers. Can Real Atletico carve in, but saved by Philpott on the run. Great defense by Real Atletico, tracking back. FC Bournemouth speedingly was running on that counter. Real Atletico showing that real athleticism. That one goes across the length of the pitch. And for those at home wondering, 65 yards is the length. 45 yards the width. The goal, 6.5 feet tall, 18.5 feet wide. Size 5 miter ball. Miter, the official ball supplier of the TST. What does that acronym stand for, you're asking? The soccer tournament. It also stands for target score time, something we will be talking about when we come back into the second half, because that will apply in this game and every game for that matter. Shots just Wide to the right.
Minutes remaining in the first half. Under 2 minutes remaining in the first half.
Almost 90 seconds remaining here in this heavily dominated game between AFC Bournemouth and Real Athletico. The Cherries applying a little bit of a high press, trying to bait Real Athletico into making a mistake. We don't want to say the lead is comfortable here because we've seen 3 goal leads evaporate over the course of seconds in this tournament, and I'm not even exaggerating. That's the beautiful thing. I've called plenty of games here over the last 24 hours where we headed into target score time with teams up 3-0 and nearly losing. All right, we're under a minute remaining. See Ryan, we see Gosling, my mistake, over on that left side. That's funny, Dan Gosling. Just happened to see a movie recently with Ryan Gosling, and the only 2 Goslings I know happen to be him and, of course, Dan. Both all-stars in their respective professions. 30 seconds remaining. Wind picking up here a little bit. Not that that's going to be a factor as the clock is set to expire here. We're going to head into halftime. Pressure being applied by Daniels. Real Atletico trying to break through. Excellent sequence. Can they fire one more shot off before we head into halftime? Moving the ball as crisply as we've seen, but it hits the side netting. But a corner. And the official blows the whistle, indicating the fact that the first half is over. So as it stands, AFC Bournemouth leading Real Atletico by a score of 3-0. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll tell you what the shots and the shots are on target, and we'll explain some more about what the target score time is. So back in a moment, 3-0, AFC Bournemouth. Back here for the start of the second half here on Field 4 in this matchup between Real Athletico and AFC Bournemouth. 3-0 is where we stand, courtesy of goals by Dan Gosling, wearing number 4, Brett Pittman wearing number 10, and Junior Rosero wearing number 16. As far as your shots go, 14-4 in favor of the Cherries with 9-2. So the math states that with the shots on target, Bournemouth is successful 33.33% of the time. And so they currently sit with a comfortable lead, but not comfortable enough where they can just casually walk their way through the second half, because we do have target score time in about 20 minutes of a running clock. So I'm going to explain that to you once, now, and then another time when we get into the target score time. So that is not new, but a nuanced thing to TST. That's how the games are won. Always going to be a game winner. So whatever the tally is for the leading team, you add the 1. So in this case, if this result holds, the target score will be 4, meaning that the Cherries will only need 1 goal to win. Real Atletico would need 4. Both teams will start 7v7, and then after 3 minutes, if nobody wins, then a player gets removed from each team. That shoulders in. Now a shot on target for Real Atletico, their 3rd one of the day. So 7v7 will turn into 6v6, so on and so forth. The attempt by Pittman, or more so, I thought he was going to cross it into that left side of the post, but picked up, and we do have a change in between the pipes for Real Atletico. Rafa Martins, who started the game, is subbed off, and we have a new keeper. And so that's how the target score goes. Counter opportunity here. Shot and a goal! AFC Bournemouth for the 4th time today find the back of the net. And that goal comes courtesy of Junior Rosero. Actually, no, I think I just saw number 15, Sebastian Ruiz. Even from this, no, Junior Rosero, I believe, scored that goal. Either way, 4-0 is the score. Headed out. And yes, it was Rosero. I was just waiting for the confirmation. Even from my angle, the number 16 and the number 15 kind of looked fuzzy as we're about 20 or so yards from my line of sight. But now that does officially declare Rosero with his brace. 4-0, which would mean if the result holds, the target score time would be 5. So solid start to begin the second half here. Will we see another one? Shot and another goal. The Cherries are on fire here to start the second half. They now lead Real Atletico by a score of 5-0. It wasn't Rosero this time. Certainly Sebastian Ruiz is going to get the credit for the goal. Ruiz, who played for the amateur club out of Astoria, Queens, is out of New York. I know Astoria, Queens very well. Lived there a number of years, and shout out to my friends out there from Astoria. And Tiger Showman's on Steinway Street. Grab and fired one from the midfield that almost went through. You can just see the world-class talent that he has, and he's going to be issued a yellow card for that wasting of time. But nonetheless, that was very impressive. If that was your traditional goal, that looked like it would have gone straight in. But with the height of it being 6.5 feet, that one sails high. Not to mention there is a little bit of a gust of wind going in that direction. So as that miter ball got fired off of his foot, might have picked up a gust of wind and sailed through. So it's going to be free kick just from outside of the box for Real Atletico. Their target score will be a heck of a hill to climb, as it now would be 6 if this result holds. The most goals that I have seen over the course of regulation has occurred just now. A solid performance from AFC Bournemouth, making their fans here very happy. There was a meet and greet earlier in the day. Shot, oh, that looked like it almost was going to go in. Real Athletico so close to breaking up the clean sheet. And so, at this point, nothing to lose. The final game. Have at it. A splendid memory to had to be scoring against a team that's filled with so many legendary players. So many players that were on that promotion team in 2015. The one that Roger Bennett did a documentary on that made so many Americans fans of this team. And for a moment, I forgot all about that, but thanks to the fans in the audience, I was reminded of that. So got to give the credit where the credit is due. So I did say it stopped raining, but I peeked my head out from this broadcast tent that I'm under, and I just got sprayed with a little spritzer. And I don't mean wine and soda water. So Real Athletico maintaining some possession here. That one comes off of Graben. He belts it up high and to the left. Pittman charging forward, as does Rosero. You'd have to wonder. I've had this conversation, mentioned it a couple of times. For the players that come from outside the small-sided world, we're talking futsal, arena, beach, so on and so forth. Gosling, across in, ball is loose, back-heeled in. Pittman tried to be a little cheeky there, but you'd have to wonder if just that split moment of advancing forward, not wanting to be caught in an offside position, whether or not it goes through the minds of some of these players as they are charging forward. No offside here in the TST. But that slight moment of hesitation, is that what has enabled so many of these arena players to have the success that they've had? Because in this fast-paced game, you hesitate, you get burned. The winners of the first ever TST, Newtown Pride, coached by Onu Obasi. We will be seeing him on Field 4 for the final game of the night. Now, that was a team that consisted of a lot of talent from the Major Arena Soccer League. Last year, La Bombonera, that was an incredible team as well. Players from the Major Arena Soccer League. Conquefa, Pat McAfee's team, the Arena Boys. What arena? The Major Arena Soccer League. Marco Fabian representing Boca Dallas. Right now the Major Arena Soccer League, but most people know him from his time playing, of course, with Chivas, Eintracht Frankfurt in the Bundesliga. In fact, during his time in Eintracht, managed to win a Pokal. That's going to be a foul going against Matthews as he was holding on to the jersey of what I assume to be Escanio. So Atletico regains possession. Matthews had his youth career at AFC Bournemouth, signed at the age of 17, where he did get a fair amount of run, was over at Crawley where he competed in 38 games. Also was on Bristol Rovers for a moment, loaned out throughout the course of his career. But he's going to get booked for that foul here. Taken away. The attack again. But Levi Pilar out of Brown University. Brown University, go Bears. Also clubbed with Los Angeles Breakers. Very cool and very fortuitous and fortunate of him to get to be in a position where he gets to play with such talented players. Players with a lot of history. Players that have seen and done a lot of things. Shot saved by Philpott. So we're almost at that halfway point here in the second half, when the score sits 5-0 in favor of the Cherries. That's going to stay on this end of the pitch. And target score is 6. Can't say that it's impossible. People claim climbing Mount Everest was possible, but more than one individual did it. Nowadays, people travel over there with a Sherpa that takes them to the top of the mountain. So if hills like that can be climbed, certainly not out of the question for Real Atletico. But it won't be any easy. But could this be the first goal? Saved by Philpott. He gets his mittens right all over it, maintaining his clean sheet. Passed in on the left side, saved. Another opportunity and a goal. Fired into that left shelf. Rosero with another goal. 6-0 now in favor of Bournemouth. He's had an outstanding game today for the Cherries. I mean, he single-handedly could have, not going to say by himself, but obviously his offensive contribution thus far would have been enough to maintain a tremendous lead. Rosero in there with a hat trick. I haven't seen any hat tricks on this pitch for that matter. It's not that I recall. And it is, yes, getting the confirmation. Shout out to our public address announcer. That is Rosero's hat trick. Congratulations to number 16, Junior Rosero. I mentioned played collegiately, Division I in the state of New York, upstate at Siena, and playing for the Seawolves of Stony Brook University. Also with FC Detroit in the USL. Detroit, a city that would enjoy having a Major League Soccer team. Great support over at FC Detroit and a lot of love for that team. As we see a foul on the pitch, it's going to go against Bournemouth, and Real Athletico is going to maintain their possession. They had a chance at spoiling Charlie Philpott's clean sheet, but Philpott made a tremendous save. So we are under 9.
Free kick opportunity for Real Athletico.
So can Real Athletico strike here? As they're trying to figure out who's going to take the kick. Some last-minute instructions. So not sure what the dialogue is, but the official coming in and telling the boys, hey, we got to go back to play. So this is a running clock, so this does not work in favor of Real Atletico, as they've sliced at bare minimum a good 30 to 40 seconds. At this point, approaching more towards 60. Shot, free kick, and there you go. The clean sheet is over. What a goal. Que golazo. An excellent goal, and that's an excellent memory to be had, scoring against AFC Bournemouth. We have him listed as number 8, Keynor Ascanio. Not sure if that's actually right, because it wasn't right the other day. But that was a tremendous, tremendous goal. 6-1 now the score. Gotten to see 7 goals here from both teams. 6 of them, of course, coming from Bournemouth. Charlie Philpott advances it across the midfield. Ball is loose. Rosero was open on that far post. Shot saved. Another save. Trying to clear it up. Ball is loose. Recovered. Gosling. 2-on-1 shot. Score! Oh, I thought it was. From that angle, I thought he would have had it. And I didn't want to anticipate. And that's exactly what I did. I thought that was certainly going to be it, as Levi Pilar had the opportunity to strike lucky number 7. The header goes up. The header punched away. This keeper's being relentlessly tested. And another save, but the rebound is in. So lucky number 7 happens there. See a frustrated keeper there as he's making a lot of tremendous saves. He was kept busy. Saves of the games, getting his paws all over it. But unlucky in that sense as you see him pull the shirt above his head. 7-1 now the score. And the hits keep on coming. Tommy Elphick, the legendary Tommy Elphick. Shot. The second goal of the game for who I assume to be Ascanio. 7-2 now. And just as I was about to tell you about Tommy Elphick, who's played nearly 400 games over his professional career, Real Atletico managed to find another one. 2 quick goals by number 8. Gosling going to his left. That shot deflects. Gosling in, elevated as Charlie Daniels tried to thread it in. Rolled out. Philpott missed it, and he goes down, as does Lewis Graben. Philpott and Graben getting back up on their feet. Looking to get back up on their feet, I should say. So, the official calling for a trainer. So Graben appears to really be hurt at this point. Hopefully nothing too crazy. So we would have to look to stop the clock in that case with an injured player. So Lewis Graben, the legendary Lewis Graben, who started his career, his youth career at Crystal Palace, is down, as now he has 2 trainers attending to him. So there's going to be a running clock in this case. He made contact with Charlie Philpott. Philpott's back up on his feet. Well, this shouldn't be the way that Lewis Graben ends his time here in Cary, North Carolina, or at least not his time here on Field 4 in this game. So, trainers are just checking in on him. He's still lying down on his back this time. He was flipped. Now he's being held up. Going to get a round of applause here from the crowd. So he was holding on to his back.
3.5 minutes remaining in regulation.
So I know the official was just looking at his watch. We told you it's a running clock, but of course that running clock would cease if there's a timeout or an injury on the pitch. And so that's not going to necessarily mean that we've lost 2 minutes worth of action here. But Graben is going to walk over to the bench. A substitution change here as we are coming into the final moments of the second half. This result holds, your target score will be 8. So that means that AFC Bournemouth only needing 1 more goal in the event that this result holds going into target score time. 6 goals from Real Athletico. Potentially looking to complete his hat trick is number 8, Ascanio. We already have seen 1 hat trick today on this pitch by way of Junior Rosero. Daniels has it. You saw that first-class touch. Into the box goes Gosling. And I don't have a number on Real Atletico's keeper, so I can't exactly give him his flowers, but he's made some remarkable saves. Philpott going to that back corner. Wouldn't it be something for Rosero to have 4? There are awards given to Golden Boot winners here in the TST. Philpott. It's Daniels advancing it. Threaded through and in. Now, that wasn't necessarily a shot as that was intended to be a pass, but we see yet another goal from number 15, Sebastian Ruiz. Ruiz making his family in New York City proud. Sebastian Ruiz, 2 goals for the Cherries here, and the score is now 8-2. I haven't checked all the scores of every single game. I mean, we've had almost 70 games played here over the last 24 hours. But this is a high number. 8 goals. And not the most. We saw the Wrexham Red Dragons score 12 in their first year here at TST. I still think that's the record. I haven't been told otherwise. But 8 is an eye-popping number for sure. Real Athletico looking to achieve at least one more. And perhaps number 8 on Real Athletico, Ascanio. See if he attracts any attention. Because we do know that players that have competed in this tournament have gone on to sign contracts, playing professionally, at the very least, in the professional arena ranks in the United States. So, number 8, who I believe to be Ascanio, worth a look. So, our clock goes to 0, but of course, because of that injury that Graben sustained moments ago, have at least a good 2, potentially 3 minutes left of action to be had here within regulation. And so, say 2 minutes, if anything, before we head into target score time. That target score will be 9. 1 goal for AFC Bournemouth to win. A lot of goals for Real Athletico. One player that I saw rostered for Real Atletico that I don't see is Ciro Oliveira. There's a shot saved. That 2-on-1 was done fairly casually as Real Atletico's keeper has just made a lot of tremendous saves. This could have been far more lopsided than it already has been, but he's really kept them in. Another counter into Pittman. Pittman off of the back of number 23. And pass in. Philpott right around midfield. Well, now definitely at midfield. Punches it through to Daniels. Daniels shot. He scores! Charlie Daniels finds the back of the net. Yet again for AFC Bournemouth, the Cherries on top. Charlie Daniels has looked rather impressive here. Who we haven't seen is Junior Stanislas. For those here in the United States that are unfamiliar with him, well, I already told you about him, but again, 336 games played professionally. Okay, now the official does blow the whistle, and now we officially head into target score time. So, 2-minute break, and then when we come back, we'll explain the rules real quickly again for you for target score time. And that will wrap it up when we do. So, stick around. Let's see who wins that golden fleece. Back in a moment. Welcome back, folks, to Field 4 for the start of target score time in this encounter between the Cherries, AFC Bournemouth, and Real Atletico. The score 9-2, which means your target score is 10. And in the target score time, both teams will begin with 7 players apiece. If nobody wins after 3 minutes, a player gets removed. We go to 6v6. If after 3 nothing happens there, we go to 5v5. All the way down to 2v2. And we saw a game earlier here between Bumpy Pitch, where they ended up with 2v2 and won. And so it'll never be lower than 2v2. Now, what's at stake? The first win for either of these two sides, as they both are sitting at 0-2 coming into the third and final game here in the group stages. The individual who scores the game-winning goal will be awarded with an Adidas Golden Fleece. The Golden Fleece is a scarf that guarantees a lifetime admission to not only the TST, but the TBT. B as in Bravo, B as in basketball. And so we're getting that confirmed again by our public address announcer, who I just learned is a fellow Indiana Hoosier. We're both IU grads, which is fun. Hoosier Army getting ready to take on Cardinal Legacy here, so that'll be a fun one. Two very successful programs. And the battle between former Hoosiers and former Cardinals. That'll be on, I believe, Field 5. Now the question's going to be, who wants to walk out with a Golden Fleece? Now the player if I was a betting man, which I am not, why not say Junior Rosero? He's already got a hat trick today. Let's see if Real Atletico can claw one back. Into the box they go. Charlie Philpott punches it, kicks it, I should say, out of danger. Great defensive play, because had that not occurred, Pittman completely opened. Now, Martins comes back in for Real Atletico. He started in the first half. There's Rosero. Perhaps a tactical move in which Martins could operate as another attacker. Daniels back over to Philpott. About 30 seconds away from 6v6. Philpott over to Gosling. Gosling back to Philpott. The young keeper weighing his options. Threads it through. Ruiz has a couple of goals himself. You can see him wanting to attack. Settles back in on it. Ball goes across. Backheeled in, but recovered by Atletico. Real Atletico. We did see Atletico here earlier. Atletico Madrid lost and end their time at TST with no wins. Losing to a team called Trident FC, representing University in Lexington City, Virginia. Washington and Lee. Shot off of the back of Elphick. Real Atletico claiming that there was a handball in the box, and they're denied. That would have been a crack at potentially their third goal of the game. So the official with the whistle, though, does indicate the fact that we've moved on to 6v6. So both Bournemouth and Real Atletico remove a player.
Real Atletico 2. Target score of 10.
So we haven't had a target score of 10 on this field yet. We will certainly today, or at least here. We resume with each player 6 on a side. Now the rain is picking up. Philpott, that's your Golden Fleece winner. Take a bow, Charlie Philpott, a goalkeeper goal, and that ends it here. He was rocking a clean sheet until Escanio was thinking otherwise. But what Charlie Philpott will have is an Adidas Golden Fleece, a.k.a. scarf, to get wrapped around his neck. He's got what I'm going to call the goal of the game because we don't see very many goalkeepers scoring them. But your final score here on Field 4, AFC Bournemouth 10, Real Athletico 2. Bournemouth could collect their first win of the group stage in very impressive fashion, and much to the joy of a handful of their fans that have been braving out this rain. Tremendous game, 12 goals between the two sides, and as a result of the calls, minorly losing my voice. But folks, stick around because representing Serie A here in about 20 or so minutes, Cagliari Calcio. So take a break. I'm going to get out and stretch. Head on over to the fridge. We're getting closer and closer to the weekend, and make sure you come on back to hang out with your good friend Philly. Thank you so much for tuning into this one. Back in about 20, you were watching the soccer tournament on YouTube.